All right, guys, for those of you that haven't yet made your way to the front of the room, please do so now. We've got some media seating up here still. And for those that just want to take a seat in general, I think we've got some extra spots from what I can see. I want to say welcome to everyone here. For those that don't know me, my name is Alex Caulfield. I represent Seattle Sounders FC, and excited to welcome everyone here today to Tacoma. We have a panel here today to break some news that I will not scoop, but I will introduce the panel here quickly from my left to your right as you're looking up here at the stage. First, we have Tacoma Rainiers President Aaron Hartman, who will begin today's opening remarks, followed by Sounders FC General Manager and President of Soccer Garth Lagerwey. We have Tacoma Mayor Marilyn Strickland immediately seated to Garth's left, followed by Tacoma City Council Member Ryan Mello, and then retired United States Congressman Norm Dix. Last but certainly not least, immediately to your right is Sounders Community Trust President Kyle Boyd, and we're very happy to welcome all these guys here today. Today's run of show, we're going to turn it over here for opening remarks to Aaron, and then once everyone has said their opening remarks, we'll have a media Q&A here, I think, as you guys here in the press gallery know. So if you have questions, just raise your hand and I'll call on you. There'll be a runner bringing around a mic. Today's event is being streamed on a few different platforms, so we appreciate if you could introduce yourself at that time. At the end, there'll be a photo opportunity, and there'll be sidebars for those that need additional interviews after that. But having said all that, I'm going to get out of the way now and turn things over to Tacoma Rainiers President Aaron Hartman. Aaron?
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. On behalf of the Tacoma Rainiers, Sounders FC, and the City of Tacoma, thank you all for coming and welcome. As you've probably paid attention to in the last 2 years, there's been some news about the Sounders and Rainiers joining forces to eventually launch S2 in Tacoma in 2020. And we have some great news. We're actually going to get a head start on that, and S2 will officially play at Cheney Stadium beginning next March in 2018. So as you can see, it's a good reason to throw a party after a press conference. So we're calling it a celebration as well as an event to share the news. Tacoma works well, and probably anything works well when there's great partnerships. And I think that's evident in the Rainiers partnership with the City of Tacoma and Metro Parks, and now the Sounders FC. And as we all work together and think about how we can maximize the experience at Cheney, which we feel we can convert to a soccer field better than any baseball stadium's done in the country. You're not going to see pitcher's mounds. You're not going to see any infield dirt. From a technical side, we're going to do a great job. But from a fan experience side, we really tried to lay out the field so that it captures our entire seating bowl. And I encourage you to look at some of the renderings that you'll see in the press kit on some of the attachments we have here. We think we can really ignite the magic that has made Tacoma and Cheney Stadium so vibrant. And we're really excited, to learn a lot about soccer, because we're a bunch of baseball people for the most part. So don't ask me any trick questions. I have a lot to learn from the supporters and supporter culture and guys like Garth here. But we're really excited to bring in the passion that we see in soccer, and particularly at Sounders matches, to Tacoma. Our baseball experience at the AAA level isn't as much about wins and losses. It's about having a great time in the experience. And so I think this is a fun pivot to us. While we still think it's important and we can actually help grow the fan base and grow the game through the casual fan, we really want to make sure we're working hard with the diehard supporter groups and the experts to make this a truly amazing experience. So with that, I say welcome to Cheneyville, Sounders FC. You're going to love it down here, and we look forward to putting out a great product. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. We're going to hear next from Sounders FC General Manager and President of Soccer, Garth Lagerwey. Garth?
Hi, everybody. Hey. It is fun to see this enthusiastic crowd yet. I have not spent enough time in Tacoma yet, so as I get to know this city and the folks down here, I can tell you're just as enthusiastic as everybody we've met up near Seattle. So thanks so much for having us. We are so excited about this. When we first started talking, we thought, hey, 2020, a couple years from now, we'll work on a stadium, and this is kind of a long-term thing, part of the vision, and to work with the Rainiers and get to know Aaron a little bit, and then understand, hey, maybe this thing is, if it's pretty cool in 2020, would it be even cooler in 2018? And then to be able to go that direction with the support of the City of Tacoma and the Mayor. Thank you so much for your support, to Metro Parks. Everybody who's kind of pitched in and said, hey, let's try to find a way to make this a reality. This is super exciting for us. for us to be able to expand both our player development on the technical side, but also the awareness of the Sounders brand, to be in Seattle for our first team, to be in Tukwila in terms of the training of this reserve team of S2, and now to be in Tacoma to play our matches here and to be able to introduce ourselves to a whole new audience. It's so cool for us. When we talk about player development, we have youth academies. We develop kids from 12 years old on up, and we want those kids to eventually play for the Sounders one day in CenturyLink Field. And maybe the best example of that is Jordan Morris, a kid from Mercer Island in that case, but who's come up through. But we have Federal Way kids like Lamar Nagel that's on our team, and he came through before we had an academy. But now that we have this formal process, we really want to be able to reach and touch every kid that might aspire to play soccer anywhere in the Puget Sound region. And that makes this opportunity in Tacoma really, really exciting for us as we start to develop the Stars of Tomorrow in Tacoma. And for those of you who maybe are aware, we got kind of a big game tomorrow night. Any of you guys going? Yeah? All right. Second leg of the Western Conference semifinals, playing a team just up the road, I guess, in Vancouver. So a Cascadia clash, 5th time we're playing Vancouver this year. But if we win, we advance to the conference finals. Gives us another run to defend our championship. And one of the kids I'm going to highlight is Nuhu Tolo. And the Nuhu, some people know him. He's going to start at left back for us tomorrow night. He started the first leg. This is a 20-year-old kid from West Africa, specifically from Cameroon. It's my first time in Douala when we went over there to meet him and his family and see him try out. But that kid, no one knew. And before we had a reserve team, before we had S2, we would not have been able to sign Nuhu because he was not ready for the first team at 18 years old when we first saw him. But because we have this team, this development team, we were able to take him and give him a year to learn English and to learn American culture and to really acclimatize to the Sounders. And now, a year later, about 2 years into his tenure, he's going to start a winner-go-home playoff game for us tomorrow night. So that's the power of what this team can be for us. That's how important it is to us, and we couldn't be more excited to join the city of Tacoma and the Rainiers going forward.
Thank you, Garth. The next speaking is Tacoma Mayor Marilyn Strickland.
Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. Well, on behalf of the city of Tacoma, I first want to say thank you to the Tacoma Rainiers and the Sounders organization for having the vision to imagine that S2 can play here in Tacoma. We're incredibly excited about this opportunity because it means so much to this city. On the Cheney Stadium footprint, we have the opportunity now to build a 5,000-seat stadium. But even more exciting, we're not going to have to wait till 2020. They will be playing right here in Tacoma in 2018. One of the reasons this was so appealing to me was because of the mission of this organization. And it's really about equity and opportunity. When we think about hosting S2 here in Tacoma, what we're talking about is making professional sports more accessible to more people. Now, we know for a fact that there are a lot of Sounders fans in Tacoma who travel up to Seattle to watch those Sounders games. But now we can expand that fan base, and we can make it accessible to young people down here, and maybe to people who don't have the means to go travel up to Seattle to see the Sounders. But either way, this will be an example of a community coming together in a true partnership to have a bold vision. What's exciting about the location at Cheney Stadium is that that's an area that has an opportunity to develop into more. As Tacoma continues to grow, we will need more housing and more retail. As Tacoma continues to grow, we know that we plan to bring light rail all the way down 19th Street to Tacoma Community College, and it will pass and probably have a stop at Cheney Stadium. So when we look at the investments that we're making, yes. When we look at the investments that we're making and the stage that we're setting, it really tells the world that Tacoma is ready to host S2 right here in our city. Now, I would be remiss as an elected official if I didn't recognize other elected officials who are here today. So please recognize and thank City Council Member Robert Toms. Hold your applause until I name them all. Metro Parks Board Commissioner Aaron Pointer, who serves as president. Executive Director of Metro Parks, Sean Sylvia. Pierce County Council Member Derek Young, and former City Council Member and Parks Commissioner Victoria Woodards. Let's give them all a round of applause. So now we know that there will be a brand that will be a Tacoma-centric brand. So ST2 right now is kind of a placeholder. But at some point, we're going to name this something Tacoma-centric. And I think the really, really good name would be maybe Strickland FC Club, Strickland Sounders. So as you all are thinking about branding this particular team, keep a mayor in mind, would you please? No, in all seriousness, we're incredibly proud that this is happening here in Tacoma. It's a part of our future. And if we want to make sure that this happens in 2020 like we are planning, show up at the games, show your support. Tell your elected officials this is important. We want to demonstrate that this is something that is wanted by the community and there's high demand. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Strickland. Next up, we're going to hear from Tacoma City Council member Ryan Mello. Ryan?
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see everyone. Thanks for being here. We all know great things are happening in Tacoma, and all the energy in the room is testament to that. Mayor Strickland, under your leadership and the last 8 weeks of your amazing leadership, we've had amazing movement in the past 8 years. We've seen waterfront redevelopment. We've seen more great housing and transportation options. We have the lowest unemployment in modern times. Things are going great. At the top of what makes Tacoma great are certainly the Tacoma Rainiers, and now we can add to that list S2 moving to Tacoma. It's really awesome, and so, you know, I had one of the best jobs before joining the Tacoma City Council, one of the best jobs in Tacoma, and that was serving on the Metro Parks Tacoma Commission. The people at Metro Parks Tacoma are doing awesome things to bring recreational opportunities to every family throughout Tacoma. That's where I met my good friend Victoria Woodards, who's running to be our next mayor and take on the mantle from the great leadership of Marilyn Strickland. And it's that partnership between the city, Metro Parks, and everyone else that's going to really make this take off. And so I have a commitment to Garth and to Aaron, and the commitment that I really want to publicly make before you. This Tacoma community really stands behind this project. So first to Mayor Strickland. Mayor Strickland, I and the rest of the Tacoma City Council stand ready to move everything we need to move during your last 8 weeks of leadership here. And to Garth and Aaron, we'll move heaven and earth, and we're excited to do everything we need to do at Tacoma City Hall to facilitate the way to make S2 a smashing success here in Tacoma. So thank you for your investment in Tacoma. We're super excited to have you, and we're going to do everything we can to make it smooth sailing for you. So welcome to Tacoma.
Thanks, Ryan. Next, we're hearing from retired United States Congressman Norm Dix. Norm, take it away.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today and to participate in this exciting announcement regarding the Seattle Sounders S2 team playing in Tacoma next year at Tacoma's Pride and Joy Cheney Stadium in partnership with the Tacoma Rainiers. First, let me congratulate Aaron Hartman, president of the Tacoma Rainiers, Maya Mendoza, the General Sounders General Counsel, and Garth Lagerwey, General Manager and President of Soccer for the Seattle Sounders, on this exciting partnership you have formed for all of Tacoma and the South Sound. Your vision and leadership to bring Seattle Sounders S2 soccer to Tacoma next year will bring thousands of fans to our community that would not ordinarily be here to watch Sounders S2 soccer. I believe pairing the Rainiers with Sounders S2 soccer will make Tacoma the nation's leader in AAA sports. And we're pretty good already. Now, during my career in Congress, I had the opportunity to be part of some major renovation projects and initiatives here in Tacoma, and and helped to improve its image. Mayor Marilyn Strickland and Councilman Ryan Mello and my candidate for mayor, Victoria Woodards, have helped continue a legacy of accomplishment in Tacoma with numerous new successes like Point Ruston and UWT. The job Aaron and the Rainier investors have done with Cheney Stadium and Rainiers baseball has also contributed to Tacoma's renaissance. I would predict that the Sounders-Rainier partnership will be acknowledged in the future as a major community success, as those other accomplishments were. I want to urge Metro Parks and the City of Tacoma to fully support this new 2017 opportunity to have the nation's premier soccer franchise, the Sounders, with their S2 team play at Cheney Stadium for the first 2 years, and then let's build this community a new 5,000-seat soccer stadium adjacent to Cheney Stadium to keep them here permanently. Tacoma, you truly are on a roll, and let's embrace the new and bold opportunity for Sounders S2 soccer in Tacoma. Let's do something unique. Let's do something for the thousands of soccer families in Tacoma and the South Sound. Let's build something this community can use and be proud of. Let's put 253 soccer and baseball on the map. Aaron, Maya, Garth, you can count me in, all in. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Congressman. Before we get to the media panel Q&A, we're going to close here with some words from Sounders Community Trust President Kyle Boyd. Kyle?
Thank you. Thanks to the Rainiers for setting up this event along with the Sounders. For me personally, it's very nostalgic to be back in the north end of Tacoma. I went to UW Tacoma myself. Thanks to all the fan representatives, ECS, and SET board members that made this event as well. This doesn't happen without you guys. Speaking for the SCT, I can say that we're thrilled about the opportunities this new venture provides our member base. It's the beginning of an exciting new era for S2, but also for the SCT. What makes soccer in this region so unique to the rest of the country is the resolve to have the community drive the sport here. There's a strong inclination to grow community access to and influence over the sport through grassroots organization, and that's what the SCT is all about. With this move at hand, we've been doing just that by working with the Rainiers directly. We've recently did a walkthrough of Cheney Stadium and got to provide input on the layout itself. We're also very excited going forward to be able to use the planning of the new stadium as a way to engage the community by gathering input. I think it's great to see the Sounders expanding their own footprint in to be more representative of the entire Puget Sound area. It's a chance to give more access to the sport at a high level for the entire Puget Sound. And in doing so, the move to Tacoma gives the SCT a chance to expand our own member base so we can truly be a collective voice for the Puget Sound region, and to grow its identity as a leader in soccer by championing what's truly unique about it, and that's democracy in sports. All in all, we are very excited as community members and fans to partner with the Rainiers, the Sounders, and orgs like the Rave Foundation to grow the sport and culture in all its facets, the entire region as a whole, and we're very much looking forward to the 2018 season. Go Sounders!
All right, at this time, we'll turn it over to you guys in the press gallery here. I see media all over, in the back, in the front, to the sides, and it's an assembled group from both Tacoma and Seattle. So if we could, for our panelists, please introduce yourselves and your outlet as the microphone makes its way around here, as it will. And if we have time, we'll go around for follow-ups once again. Who would like to start? Jeremiah.
Jeremiah Shannon, Senator at Hart. Garth, I guess this would be probably for you. What was the kind of the driving force between doing this year as opposed to waiting until a stadium was actually finished?
I think it was the opportunity. I mean, I need to give a shout out here to Maya Mendoza-Ekstrom, our in-house counsel, who's been a big driver and has, as usual, done most of the work here, where figureheads like me sit up on the dais and get to say some nice words. But Maya's done a lot of the work, and she came to me and said, hey, we have this relationship with the Rainiers, or we've had some conversation with them through ownership, through Adrian Hanauer, who is personally engaged with the Rainiers ownership group as well. And the first question that I asked was, well, why wait till 2020? Like, why can't we try to figure this out for 2018?
That was my fault.
Not at all. Not at all. And look, there are big logistical considerations, like the pitcher's mound, by the way, this is no small obstacle. Like, we have to engineer a machine to move this thing up and down and out of the field and stuff. So not insignificant obstacles, but I kind of let it, and then again I stepped back and let everybody else do all the work. But they came back and said, hey, this could really happen, and Aaron was supportive, the Rainiers were supportive. And look, this doesn't happen without the Rainiers and without their leadership and them kind of saying, hey, look, we think we can build not just some soccer field in the stadium and slap it in there for a couple of years. They said, hey, look at this plan. We think we can get this pretty close to the party deck up the left field line, and we can have a supporter section potentially behind one of the goals, and details like that where you could tell that they cared and that they were invested in it and that they were going to be really good partners both on the business side and on the soccer side. So that made us pretty excited, and that made us want to move forward and really try to get to a place. And look, little things, technical things, Starfire, we play on artificial surface to be able to get some of these kids on grass a little bit more often and play in Cheney Stadium. That was exciting too.
Go to Aaron over here next.
Aaron Levine, Q13 Fox. This question is for you, Aaron. Let's talk a little bit more about those logistics and the specifics, not just the mound, but also getting sod on the field, especially since those games are going to be taking place during the Rainier season as well.
I wish I could bring my operations and groundskeeping experts up here, but rest assured we have the budget and the expertise to, I think, do a tremendous conversion. And in all honesty, I was the guy who kept holding the Sounders off on starting S2 at Cheney earlier because I feel like soccer fans would expect soccer in a soccer stadium. And I think I've seen enough baseball venues where they don't convert it the right way. You have a field that's beyond second base or far off from the seating bowl. And as we've really gotten to the science of how we could do this right, our intent is for fans to show up and, quite frankly, on the technical side, to show up and really not even know, besides knowing you're in a baseball venue, that it was a baseball field 2 or 3 days ago. So there's a mound removal system that we're investing in that really saves us time and money and keeps the integrity of the mound. There's something like 18,000 pounds of clay in a mound. I didn't know that till we started this process. So it takes a long time to rebuild. So we'll have a way to remove that in segments. And we have a great groundskeeper and a great ops staff that we feel like we can lay sod down. We're working with a great sod farm partner that does a lot of the top grass fields in the Northwest and on the West Coast. So on the technical side, we hope and we think it's going to be what we need. I'm sure there'll be some growing pains, but I do think we can start out game one better than anyone in the country has done on a baseball field. And that ability allowed us to then really put the field within the seating bowl and the party decks and the areas fans want to be. So obviously, yes, you're going to look to the far side of the field, and there's a great big lawn out there. And by the way, if we get enough support, we'll just make it a big beer garden out there. But
I like it.
We truly do think the seating is as good, if not better, than a lot of venues, particularly in the USL, with the character that it has, the different style of seating, whether it's an all-inclusive club or a party deck or just great reserve seats, and working with supporters to create a good supporter section that has what they need. So I think we're going to get pretty close, but it's not going to be perfect, and I think ultimately we do need to find that long-term permanent solution that's soccer-specific.
Thanks, guys. We're going to go next over here to Jackson.
Hi, Jackson Feltz, Sports Radio 950 KJR. I don't know if this is for Congressman Mello or whoever can take it. But what are the additional? What are the additional hoops that need to be jumped through? The tasks need to be done. The sort of timeline to build a new stadium for the 2020 season, 5,000 seat, as you mentioned.
So I know that Aaron and the mayor probably have a lot more of the detail, but the land is owned by the city of Tacoma, and on the Cheney footprint, there's a lot of different overlapping ownership by public agencies. The city, the Tacoma School District, because Foss High School is there, Cheney Stadium, Metro Parks Tacoma. So there's a lot of overlapping public agency input, so we all need to collaborate really, really well in order to pave the way for the next stadium. And if I have anything to do with it, I'm going to want a lot, as the mayor said, a lot of other activities that fans want and need. Maybe a Doyle's 2 out there. We can move a Doyle's satellite out there so we can have another option out there near the stadium. But a lot of other activities before and after the game, maybe even some housing. So we got to create a great village and just capitalize on this awesome recreational sports village that we have the opportunity for. So a lot of collaborating.
Doesn't Metro Parks play a role in this?
So what this is going to take is a strong, committed public-private partnership. because as Councilmember Mello said, this will be built on the footprint of Cheney Stadium. We have this ginormous asphalt parking lot, which is probably not the best use of land right now, so we have to think about where we would put this. And again, it's going to be a public-private partnership. The city, Metro Parks, the Sounders organization, the Rainiers, we're all going to have to put skin in the game. And as I said earlier, we have to demonstrate that there's demand for this product. So I expect to see everyone there full on in 2018.
We're going to go over here to Danny Ciascio next, and then Andrew Harvey after that, right next to him.
Danny with SoundersFC.com. This is for Ryan or Mayor. How do you hope to engage with the community as far as the youth programs in Tacoma with us too?
So this presents a really good opportunity because, as mentioned earlier, they're very, very committed to making sure that this is an inclusive experience. And I think especially in a city like Tacoma, where you have opportunities to engage more people working with the school district, working with the Boys and Girls Clubs, and a lot of youth organizations to not just bring them to the games, but also expose them to opportunities to use the facilities and really discover soccer. A lot of kids don't even play soccer, and so we have an opportunity to really expose them to the sport. We also know, too, however, though, we have a large Latino community here that plays on a lot of fields. And so I just think that getting the sport out there, getting kids and their parents to come to the games, and just showing them that there are many opportunities here and they can be part of it.
I would just add, the Rainiers have shown exactly how to do this. They have a really awesome community engagement program. They take this really seriously. They take the show on the road and engage, especially low-income kids and kids of color, into the sport of baseball and make it really accessible. And no doubt they're going to be able to take their really award-winning community engagement program and model it here with S2 and do even more for kids to have this kind of great access to recreation.
Andrew Harvey, Sports Press Northwest. My question's for Garth. Garth, you've talked a lot about how S2 is meant to fill this pipeline between the academy and the first team. I'm curious as to building an actual stadium, what role that will play in promoting player development and being able to turn to young players and saying, we've built this for you, beyond simply engaging the community of Tacoma.
Well, look, step one is to create a playing atmosphere that is exciting and is fun, certainly for our fans, but also to put pressure on our players. One of the biggest things that we have to evaluate for these kids that we're talking about, 17, 18, 19-year-old kids, teenagers, they have to adjust. They have to become men. They have to grow up. And the way they do that is to be put under pressure. And one of the ways to do that is to put them in front of large audiences. So we're going to do it first in Cheney Stadium, and then if you have a soccer-specific stadium after that, all the better. And as you said, not very many teenagers get to go play in a soccer-specific stadium built for them and their team, and hopefully part of their community. Because the thing we really want of this is the first Tacoma kid to come and play for the Sounders in the MLS version, right? And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the history of the Tacoma Stars and some of I know there's a long history of professional soccer in Tacoma, and I don't want to act like we're inventing it by any means, but certainly in the MLS iteration of the Sounders, to my knowledge, we haven't had a Tacoma kid yet come through all the way to the first team, and I think that is the ambition of this project. Can we build a stadium? Can we embrace this community? Can we work with the Rainiers to establish ourselves and our players, and again, to have access not just from a fan perspective, but from a player perspective to all this talent that's down here.
Ari Lillienwall, MLSsoccer.com. My question is for Garth or Aaron, I guess. Is there any sort of timeline for the Tacoma centric rebrand that the mayor mentioned? And what was the thinking of keeping the S2 brand for this season and doing the rebrand later on?
I'll go ahead and take that. So even if we could think and work with the right groups to figure out what the new identity could be, we'd probably mess it up in the short window we have, which is about 4 months or 5 months until we start the season. We think we will start formulating this and doing some outreach during the 2018 season, potentially able to launch it, if not on the field on an actual kit, have everyone know what the new brand is, and co-create that with our groups, with our fans, with our citizens. So I think we'll do work towards it that'll be public-facing as well during next season, but we wouldn't be able to actually unveil or have the gear or wear the gear until at the earliest 2019, and that could even be aggressive. But we're definitely keen on doing it and know how important it is, and feel that it's what we should do and the right move.
Great, thanks, Ari. We're going to go over here to Todd Millis from the News Tribune next.
Yeah, this question's for Aaron. Could you shed some light on some of the thought process on, I mean, you've played soccer matches in Cheney Stadium in 12 and 13, and could have easily just kept the old system and played near the right field wall. Just sort of the thought process of shifting it. It seems like a huge investment on your part to do that.
Well, I think we have to do it right if we're going to do it, and I think that's what we learned. And quite frankly, when we're partners now, and this is our baby, so to speak, is different than when you're trying something on an exhibition side. It's our staff, it's our hard work, it's our brand, it's the city's brand, it's everything attached to it. And so it is a big undertaking and a big investment, but I think if we rolled out S2 with a bad configuration or something where the fans were far away, it would fail. I still think it's hard. It's going to be a challenge to get our supporters, and maybe even more so the casual fan, to have the experience they would in a soccer-specific stadium. So I think that there's still some real work to be done, but it really wasn't worth doing if we couldn't do it right. And I was the guy again who said we shouldn't do it. But as you know, what, Cheney Stadium got way more popular. We added a lot more character through it, through our great investors in the city and reinvesting in the stadium. I got to know our partners here a lot better and learn a little bit more about the sport. And that really paved the way to saying, let's go ahead and do this now. Once we figured out that we could configure it the way we want to, which gets us to the right specs. So we're excited, and I think when you see the visuals on it, it looks pretty good. We're just missing the other side of the seating bowl.
I would like to make a remark, not about that. So when I did my introduction of elected officials, I knew I would forget someone. So I want to, at this time, acknowledge Andrea Smith, who is the president of the Metropolitan Parks District Board. Andrea, thank you very much for being here.
Great, thank you. Other questions from the gallery up front, or do we get everybody? We have time for follow-ups? Sure, yeah, right there.
Mike Franco, Clay Radio, here in Lakewood, actually. Maybe from the mayor's standpoint, the stadium is a couple years away. Got a lot of work, obviously, to do. What are some of the significant challenges, not necessarily negatives, but challenges that are really key to overcome to make that happen? 2 years is not a real long period of time.
Well, I mean, I would say the biggest challenge that we're facing in Tacoma is growth. There are more people moving here, the community is changing, and this will be a change to a neighborhood. And so I think it's going to be incumbent upon us as fans of the sport to support this endeavor, but also to do a really good job of reaching out to the community to explain how this is going to be a community asset. I think that's probably the biggest challenge that we face. And then, of course, there will be the whole conversation about public-private partnership, which I think is actually a hurdle we can overcome. But it's really about managing the growth and helping the community understand that this will be a great asset and it will help our city be a better place to live, work, and play.